In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, thousands of alien representatives from across the Milky Way gathered for what should have been a routine meeting. The massive room sparkled with light that bounced off the crystalline walls. Each seat was filled with a different species, some with multiple limbs, others that floated like gas, and many that looked nothing like humans could imagine. The Draconians had just taken the central speaking platform. They were tall reptilian warriors, with dark scales that shone like polished stone. Their leader, Supreme Commander Zixtal, stood nearly 9 feet tall with yellow eyes that narrowed to slits when he spoke. "We have identified a new world for expansion," Zixtal announced, his voice deep and rumbling. "A small blue planet in Sector 7, third from its sun. The natives call it Earth." Holographic images appeared above the platform, showing Earth from orbit. The blue oceans and swirling white clouds rotated slowly for all to see. "Our scouts report the dominant species has only achieved primitive space travel. They've barely reached their own moon. Their most advanced weapons would be useless against our fleet." Zixtal showed his sharp teeth in what passed for a smile among his kind. "We project minimal resistance. The Draconian Empire will claim this world in under 1 Earth month." A murmur spread through the council chamber. Most species knew better than to question Draconian military plans. The reptilians had conquered 17 planets in the last century alone. Their war machines were legendary. From the Earth section, a single figure stood up. Ambassador Lorena Wright was the only human representative to the Galactic Council. She had been a Navy pilot before being chosen for this role just 3 months ago. With her dark hair pulled back tightly and her blue formal uniform, she looked small compared to the other species. Most aliens viewed humans as curiosities at best, savages at worst. "The Council recognizes the Earth representative," announced the moderator, an ancient being made of shifting blue light. Lorena walked to the small platform reserved for objections. Her footsteps echoed in the sudden quiet. "I must advise against this action," she stated firmly, her voice carrying throughout the chamber despite her not shouting. The translation devices around the room converted her words into hundreds of different languages simultaneously. Zixtal turned his massive head toward her, his tongue flicking out to taste the air. "On what grounds, human? Your planet has no formal alliances. You have no legal standing to object." "On practical grounds," Lorena replied calmly. "You have severely underestimated what you would face." A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. Even the normally serious Kuvarians, with their 6 eyes and crystalline skin, seemed amused. "Underestimated?" Zixtal said. "Your planet's militaries use combustion weapons and nuclear devices. You haven't even developed basic gravity manipulation. What could we possibly have missed in our assessment?" Lorena looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many representatives as she could. "You've misunderstood something fundamental about humanity." "And what might that be, Ambassador?" Zixtal asked, not bothering to hide his contempt. "We don't like being told what to do," she said simply. More laughter erupted, louder this time. The Draconian commander flicked his tongue again, a sign of dismissal in their culture. "Neither do the Javorians. Yet their world fell in 6 days," he replied. "The Javorians had 1 government, 1 military," Lorena countered. "Earth has over 200 independent nations. If you attack us, you won't face 1 army. You'll face hundreds of different armies, resistance movements, and civilian responses. No central leadership to remove. No single point of failure." "That is a weakness, not a strength," Zixtal said. "History suggests otherwise," Lorena continued, refusing to be intimidated. "Humanity has spent most of its existence fighting, often against itself. Our greatest technological advances came during our wars. When threatened, we don't surrender. We innovate, we adapt, and we absolutely refuse to give up." The laughter had died down now, though most still regarded her with skepticism. "Your weapons are still primitive," Zixtal insisted. "Today, yes," she agreed. "But the moment your ships appear in our skies, that will change. Earth scientists will capture your technology, study it, and turn it against you faster than you can imagine. It's what we do." From his elevated council seat, the representative of the Moldovan Empire, a species known for their strategic thinking, leaned forward. Commander Zixtal, might I suggest additional reconnaissance before committing to this action? The human makes an interesting point about their decentralized power structure. Unnecessary, Zixtal said with a dismissive wave of his clawed hand. The conquest of Earth will proceed as planned. 3 of our battle cruisers will be more than sufficient. Then I must officially register Earth's protest, Lorena said, standing as tall as her 5'9" frame would allow. And I feel obligated to warn you, Commander. You will regret this decision. Back in her small quarters attached to the Earth Embassy section, Lorena sent an emergency transmission to Earth. President Alan Garcia's face appeared on the screen. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Ambassador Wright, what news from the Council? He asked. Sir, it's happening. The Draconians have announced their intention to invade, 3 weeks at most before their fleet arrives. The President's face hardened. So diplomacy has failed. Yes, sir. They wouldn't listen. The Draconians see us as an easy conquest. Then they've made their first mistake, Garcia said. How long? Can you stall them at the Council? Not long. Days at most. They're not interested in further debate. That will have to be enough. We've activated the Blackwood Protocol. Every nation has agreed to implement it immediately. Lorena felt a small surge of hope. Dr. Peter Blackwood was America's most brilliant military scientist. Whatever plan he had created for this scenario, it would be unexpected. What can I do from here? She asked. Keep your eyes and ears open. We need to know the moment their fleet launches, the President replied. And Ambassador, when all this is over, I want you to be the one to explain to the Galactic Council exactly why they should never threaten Earth again. As the transmission ended, Lorena looked out her viewport at the stars. Somewhere out there, massive Draconian warships were preparing to jump to Earth's solar system. They expected an easy victory against a primitive planet. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. 3 weeks later, the Draconian armada entered Earth's solar system. 3 massive warships, each the size of a small moon, deployed in formation near Mars. They used the red planet as a forward base, setting up energy shields and weapon platforms on its surface. On Earth, chaos erupted as the alien ships appeared on every telescope and radar system. News networks around the world broadcast the same frightening images, giant vessels that dwarfed anything humans had ever built, moving toward Earth with clear purpose. In the White House Situation Room, President Alan Garcia sat at the head of a long table surrounded by military leaders, scientists, and cabinet members. The room was tense, with screens on every wall showing the approaching alien fleet. What are our options? The President asked, looking around the table. General Kate Summers, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, stood up. Her gray hair was cut short, and her uniform bore the weight of many medals earned through decades of service. Sir, their technology is centuries ahead of ours, she said bluntly. Conventional warfare would be suicide. Our missiles can't reach them at their current position, and even if they could, we have no idea if they would do any damage against their shields. The Secretary of Defense nodded in agreement. All nations with space capability have readied their weapons, but we're talking about throwing rocks at a tank. From the back of the room, a voice spoke up. That's true if we play by their rules. All heads turned to see Dr. Peter Blackwood stepping forward. He was in his early 50s with wild gray hair and a rumpled suit that looked like he had slept in it for days. As the director of DARPA's Deep Space Research Division, he had spent the last decade preparing for this very scenario. But humanity has always been good at changing the game, he continued, placing a tablet on the table. We don't need to match their technology. We just need to use what we have in ways they won't expect. What are you suggesting, Dr. Blackwood? The President asked. Operation Mosquito, Blackwood replied, tapping his tablet. The main screen changed to show designs for thousands of small drones. We've been developing these since the first alien signals were detected 15 years ago. They're simple machines with one purpose, to deliver nanobots to the alien ships. Nanobots? General Summers looked skeptical. What can they do against warships that size? On their own, nothing, Blackwood admitted. But together, They can disrupt communications, interfere with sensors, and possibly even get into their computer systems. Think of it like giving a giant an ant infestation. One ant isn't a problem. 1,000,000 ants in the right places can bring down a house. The president leaned forward. How quickly can we deploy them? We already have. The moment the aliens entered our solar system, launch facilities in 27 countries sent the first wave. They're small and don't register on most scans. The Draconians will never see them coming. In space, Captain Olivia Martinez commanded the USS Defender, one of Earth's few space-capable warships. From her position hidden behind the moon, she watched her radar screen as the alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Time to contact? She asked her crew. At their current speed, they'll reach Earth orbit in approximately 12 hours, Captain, replied Lieutenant Greg Hogan, her navigation officer. Martinez nodded grimly. The Defender was a proud ship, the best Earth had to offer, but she knew it was no match for even one of the alien vessels. Their mission wasn't to fight, it was to observe and relay information back to Earth. Any word on Operation Mosquito? She asked. Communications Officer Jane Kelly looked up from her station. First wave has reached the alien fleet, Captain. They're attaching to the hulls now. Good. Keep me updated on any changes in the alien ship's behavior. Back on Earth, in cities across the globe, people reacted to the news of imminent invasion in different ways. Some fled to the countryside, creating massive traffic jams. Others gathered in churches, mosques, temples, and other places of worship. Many simply stayed home with their families, watching the news and waiting. But not everyone was waiting. In a small garage in Detroit, mechanic Frank Diaz and a group of fellow auto workers were repurposing parts from cars and industrial equipment. They had no formal military training, but they did know machines. If these things land here, Frank told his friends as they worked through the night, they'll need to deal with us, and we know how to break things that roll. Similar scenes played out across the planet. Farmers in India gathered farming equipment that could be turned into weapons. Computer programmers in Brazil worked furiously to create viruses that might affect alien systems. Hunters in Canada organized themselves into scouting groups. Humanity wasn't waiting for orders. They were preparing on their own. In Nevada, at a secret military base, Dr. Helen Carter finished programming the last of her special drones. Unlike the nanobots in Operation Mosquito, these were larger and designed for a different purpose. Are you sure this will work? Asked the base commander, Colonel Scott Baker. Dr. Carter closed her laptop. No, but it's the best chance we have. The Draconians use quantum communication systems. If my calculations are correct, these drones should create enough interference to disrupt their ability to coordinate with each other. And if you're wrong, she shrugged. Then at least we tried something. Better than sitting around waiting to be conquered. As dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean, the first Draconian ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were smaller than the main warships, scout vessels sent ahead to secure landing zones. Their sleek, dark hulls reflected the morning sunlight as they descended toward major cities. But something strange was happening. Several of the scout ships suddenly changed course, their movements becoming erratic. Two collided over the ocean, exploding in bright fireballs that could be seen for miles. In the White House Situation Room, Dr. Blackwood allowed himself a small smile. It's working. The nanobots are interfering with their navigation systems. What about their main ships? President Garcia asked. Look, General Summers pointed to the main screen. The massive Draconian warships were still in orbit, but their perfect formation was starting to break down. One was noticeably tilting, its position shifting unpredictably. They're losing coordination, Blackwood explained. Their ships are designed to function as a single unit. Without their quantum communications, they have to fall back on simpler methods. It's like forcing a modern army to use smoke signals. The president stood up. This is just the beginning. They'll adapt. We need to hit them with everything else we've got while they're confused. He turned to his chief of staff. Get me Ambassador Wright on the line. I want her to deliver a message to the Galactic Council. As the Draconian invasion faltered in its first hours, humanity prepared for the real fight that was about to begin. They were outgunned and outmatched in technology. But they had something the Draconians didn't expect: the will to defend their home by any means necessary. The Draconians had expected missile launches, perhaps even primitive nuclear weapons. They had prepared for these, their ships equipped with advanced shielding that could easily deflect such attacks. What they hadn't anticipated was Dr. Blackwood's Operation Mosquito, or the thousands of other unexpected responses from humans around the globe. On the main Draconian warship, Commander Zixtal pounded his fist against a control panel. Warnings flashed across screens in their alien language. "How is this possible?" he roared at his officers. "Their technology is primitive. They shouldn't be able to interfere with our systems." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Drex, studied the data streams. "They've deployed some kind of nanobots, sir. Individually harmless, but they're working together to disrupt our quantum communications. We're having trouble coordinating between ships." "Switch to backup systems," Zixtal ordered. "Already trying, sir, but the nanobots are spreading. They're adapting to our countermeasures." Zixtal's yellow eyes narrowed. This was not how the invasion was supposed to go. They had conquered 17 worlds before this, all with greater technology than Earth. None had given them this much trouble in the first phase. "Launch the ground forces," he commanded. "We'll establish control points in their major cities." Across Earth, Draconian landing craft broke through the atmosphere. Each was roughly the size of a football field, carrying hundreds of reptilian soldiers and their war machines. They targeted major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo. In New York City, police officer Steve Ross watched from the roof of his precinct as a massive alien ship descended toward Central Park. He had been a cop for 15 years, and a military veteran before that. Nothing in his training had prepared him for this moment. "What's the plan, Sarge?" asked Officer Linda Chen, coming to stand beside him. Ross adjusted his radio. "Same as always. Protect and serve. The National Guard is setting up a defensive position at 5th Avenue. We need to help evacuate civilians in this sector." As they watched, a strange buzzing filled the air. Hundreds of small drones rose from different parts of the city, converging on the alien craft. Ross recognized them as ordinary commercial drones, the kind people used for photography and deliveries. But they had been modified. Some carried small explosive packages, others seemed to be equipped with spray mechanisms. "Those aren't military," Chen observed. "No," Ross agreed. "Those are civilians fighting back." The drones swarmed the landing craft, most getting shot down by the ship's defense systems, but some made it through. Small explosions peppered the hull, and strange foam covered some of the ship's sensor arrays. It wasn't enough to stop the landing, but it clearly caused problems for the aliens. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide. The Draconian forces faced not just military resistance, but thousands of independent, improvised defensive actions. The invaders had expected to face organized armies. Instead, they faced humanity itself, unpredictable, creative, and absolutely refusing to surrender. In Moscow, a group of university students used modified television broadcast equipment to jam the aliens' short-range communications. In Rio de Janeiro, construction workers used their equipment to create roadblocks and traps. In Nairobi, wildlife rangers used their tracking skills to hunt isolated alien scouts. Captain Olivia Martinez and the USS Defender remained hidden behind the moon, continuing to observe and relay information. Their sensors picked up something unexpected. One of the smaller Draconian scout ships had been disabled and was drifting in orbit. "Can we reach it?" Martinez asked her bridge crew. Lieutenant Greg Hogan checked his navigation console. "Yes, Captain, but it would expose our position." Martinez considered for a moment. "It's worth the risk. That ship could contain valuable technology or intelligence. Prepare boarding teams." Within an hour, the Defender had matched course with the disabled alien vessel. A team of 6 crew members in spacesuits made the dangerous crossing between ships. Among them was engineer Paul Wright, whose job was to assess any technology they could salvage. Inside the alien craft, the team found 3 dead Draconian crew members and a wealth of advanced technology. Wright focused immediately on the propulsion system while the others secured the ship. "Captain, you need to see this," Wright radioed back to the Defender. "Their engine design, it's incredible, but the basics follow principles we already understand. I think we could adapt this technology to our ships with the right resources." "Gather everything you can," Martinez ordered. "We leave in 30 minutes." Back on Earth, in the Nevada desert, a Draconian patrol came across what appeared to be an abandoned gas station. As they approached to investigate, the ground beneath them suddenly gave way. They had walked into a trap, an old mine shaft that had been carefully covered and rigged to collapse. Standing on a ridge half a mile away, Sam Bowman, a former rodeo champion, watched through binoculars. Next to him, his friend Luis Reyes prepared a hunting rifle with special ammunition they had created specifically for the alien invaders. "Think it'll work?" Sam asked. Luis chambered around. Dr. Phillips at the university said their scales should be vulnerable to the acid coating. Only one way to find out. When the remaining aliens climbed out of the collapsed mineshaft, Luis took careful aim. His first shot hit a Draconian soldier in the shoulder. The special bullet shattered on impact, spreading a corrosive compound that began eating through the alien's armor and scales. The creature fell, thrashing in pain. "It works," Sam said grimly. "Let's round up the others and share what we've learned." In Washington, D.C., President Garcia received updates from around the world. Some were dire: parts of major cities under alien control, military bases destroyed, thousands of casualties. But other reports gave reason for hope. The Chinese military has successfully reversed-engineered some of the alien weapon technology, reported the Secretary of Defense. They're sharing the specifications with everyone. India reports their computer experts have cracked the alien communication codes, added the National Security Advisor. They can now listen in on tactical communications and our own operation. Mosquito continues to cause havoc with their fleet coordination, Dr. Blackwood said. The three main warships still can't form an effective attack formation. The president nodded. What about Ambassador Wright? Has she delivered our message to the Galactic Council? His chief of staff handed him a tablet. Just came in, sir. The Council has called an emergency session to discuss the invasion. Many species are shocked by the Draconians' failure to quickly subdue Earth. Garcia allowed himself a small smile. Make sure our people know this. We're not winning yet, but we're showing the galaxy that humanity won't go quietly. Now let's get back to work. This fight is just beginning. At the Galactic Council, Ambassador Lorena Wright prepared to address the assembled representatives. News of the Draconian fleet's struggles had spread quickly. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive now watched with growing interest and concern. As Wright stepped onto the speaking platform, she carried with her the combined determination of every human fighting back on Earth. Her message would be simple but clear: underestimate humanity at your peril. Back in the Galactic Council, emergency sessions were called as reports of the Draconian fleet's failures streamed in. The massive chamber was filled with tension. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive now watched in stunned silence as tactical displays showed the mighty Draconian armada in disarray. Ambassador Lorena Wright stood calmly in the center of the chamber. Unlike her previous appearance when she had stood alone, now several other representatives had moved their seating pods closer to the Earth section, a clear sign of changing political winds. The Council recognizes Ambassador Wright of Earth, announced the moderator. Thank you, Lorena said, her voice steady. I come before you today not to gloat, but to inform. The Draconian invasion of Earth has failed to achieve its objectives. After one Earth week, their forces control less than 5% of our surface, and that control is weakening by the hour. She gestured toward the main display, which showed real-time battle data from Earth. Humanity has adapted to their tactics and technology with remarkable speed. What the Draconians expected to be a simple conquest has become their greatest military disaster. From his elevated platform, Supreme Commander Zixtal rose, his scales flushed dark with rage. Impossible, he roared. They are savages. How could they resist our greatest warships? The Ilarian representative, a crystalline being known for pure logical analysis, spoke next. The data is conclusive, Commander. Human resistance has been far more effective than any model predicted. Our analysis indicates they employ no unified strategy. Each resistance cell operates independently, making them impossible to predict or counter effectively. They adapt too quickly, added another counselor, a gaseous entity contained in a floating orb. Reports show they capture draconian technology and within days repurpose it against your forces. Most concerning is their reverse engineering capability. Zix tells, tongue flicked out in agitation. Their success is temporary. We will simply commit more forces. Ambassador Wright shook her head. I tried to warn you. Humanity has spent its entire history fighting, often against itself. Our planet has known little peace. While your civilizations evolved beyond internal conflict, we perfected the art of war against enemies of equal technology. The ancient Moravian representative, whose species had observed galactic politics for millennia, floated forward. I find this most fascinating. In all my cycles, I have never witnessed such a rapid technological adaptation. The humans have already incorporated elements of draconian shielding into their defensive systems. As the council debated, more disturbing reports arrived. Human scientists had successfully reverse-engineered several key draconian technologies. What had begun as a simple conquest was rapidly becoming the greatest military disaster in draconian history. Meanwhile, on Earth, the tide was turning. In Central Park, New York, Officer Steve Ross and a mixed group of police officers and civilians had captured a draconian walker, a six-legged tank-like vehicle. They had used nothing more sophisticated than construction equipment, fire hoses, and determined courage. Get that thing to the university, Ross told the National Guard troops who arrived to secure the area. The scientists there said they can use the weapon systems. In Beijing, computer scientist Lily Wu had made a breakthrough. Working with a team of international hackers, she had found a backdoor into the Draconians' battlefield coordination network. We can't control their systems, she explained to military leaders over a secure video call, but we can feed them false information, make them see our forces where there are none, and miss seeing us where we actually are. How soon? Can you implement this? Asked the Chinese general. Lily smiled. We already have. That's how the resistance in Shanghai retook the spaceport this morning. The Draconians sent their forces to defend against an attack that wasn't coming. In orbit, Captain Martinez and the USS Defender had successfully adapted some of the alien technology to their own systems. Their ship now carried a prototype energy shield and improved sensors. We're picking up a new signal, reported Lieutenant Jane Kelly from Communications. It appears the Draconians are calling for reinforcements. Martinez frowned. How long? Until they arrive? Based on the transmission data, at least 3 weeks. Then we have time, Martinez said. Send word to Earth. We need to prepare for the next wave. In Washington, D.C., President Garcia met with Dr. Blackwood and other key scientists. The mood was cautiously optimistic. The nanobots continue to spread through their fleet, Blackwood reported. Their main warships are operating at less than 60% efficiency. And our adaptation of their technology? Garcia asked. A scientist from the weapons division spoke up. We've successfully replicated their energy weapons. Production has begun at converted manufacturing plants across the country. Within days, our ground forces will have weapons that can penetrate draconian armor. What about their reinforcements? The president asked. Our sources at the Galactic Council confirm they've called for help. Dr. Blackwood smiled for the first time in days. That's where our biggest breakthrough comes in. Using the captured scout ship's propulsion system, we've developed a prototype defensive grid. It won't stop their ships, but it will disrupt their faster-than-light travel, forcing them to drop back to normal space far from Earth. Giving us time to prepare? Garcia nodded. Make it happen. Back at the Galactic Council, the debate had grown heated. Several species now openly questioned the Draconian Empire's right to invade Earth, seeing the humans as more valuable as potential trading partners than as conquered subjects. The human adaptation rate suggests they could become a significant technological power within a few decades, noted the Tellurian ambassador, whose species specialized in predictive models. Their distributed innovation approach produces results faster than our centralized research methods. Lorena Wright listened to the shifting tide of galactic politics with satisfaction. She had one more card to play. "Members of the Council," she said, standing once more, "I have been authorized to inform you that Earth has successfully adapted draconian faster-than-light technology. Even if their reinforcements arrive, we will be ready. But more importantly, we are no longer confined to our solar system." A shocked murmur ran through the chamber. The implications were clear. Humanity would soon join the galactic community as equals, not as conquered subjects. "Furthermore," she continued, "I extend this warning not just to the Draconians but to any who might consider hostile action against Earth in the future. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves with everything we have. And as you've now seen, what we have is the unlimited ingenuity and determination of billions of individuals who refuse to surrender." The Moravian elder spoke into the sudden silence. "In 10,000 cycles, I have never seen a species advance so quickly, under pressure. Perhaps we should reconsider our assessment of Earth." Supreme Commander Zixtal glared at the human ambassador with hatred, but said nothing. The political reality was clear. His invasion had not only failed militarily, but had also turned a supposedly easy conquest into a new power on the galactic stage. As the council session ended, Ambassador Wright received a private message from President Garcia. "Well done. Come home when you can. Earth is entering a new chapter." Wright looked out at the stars visible through the council chamber's transparent dome. Somewhere out there, draconian reinforcements were on their way, not knowing they were flying into a trap set by a species they had gravely underestimated. The first battle for Earth's independence was ending. The war for humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning. 1 month after the invasion began, Supreme Commander Zixtal was summoned to the Galactic Council to explain his failure. The once proud draconian leader had lost weight, his scales had dulled, and his eyes lacked their former fire. The failed Earth campaign had destroyed his reputation. But when the council chamber doors opened, it was not Zixtal who entered. Instead, a different draconian appeared, General Kasavex, who wore the formal armor of a high-ranking military diplomat rather than a conquest commander. "The council recognizes General Kasavex of the Draconian Empire," announced the moderator. "Where is Commander Zixtal?" demanded a counselor. Kasavex bowed his head slightly. "Commander Zixtal has been relieved of his duties. I have been sent in his place with full authority to speak for the Empire." The council chamber filled with whispers. The Draconians were known for many things, but admitting defeat was not one of them. "The Draconian Empire," General Kasavex continued, his voice carrying throughout the chamber, "formally requests an immediate cessation of hostilities with the planet Earth. We propose a mutual non-aggression pact and the establishment of recognized boundaries around their solar system." The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. The mighty Draconians requesting peace instead of sending reinforcements. Ambassador Lorena Wright stepped forward. She had spent the past week helping the council understand just how badly the Draconians had miscalculated. Now, her moment of victory had arrived. "I will relay your request to Earth's governments," she said formally. "But understand this. Any agreement will need to include reparations for the damage caused and a permanent recognition of Earth's sovereignty in this sector of space." Kasavex's scales rippled, a sign of displeasure in draconian body language, but he nodded. "We are prepared to discuss reasonable terms." After the formal council session, Ambassador Wright was approached by the ancient Moravian representative, whose species had observed galactic politics for millennia. "In all my cycles," the elder alien said, his translucent body glowing with soft blue light, "I have never witnessed such a rapid reassessment of a species. Humans were considered insignificant curiosities just weeks ago. Now many races fear you." Wright smiled slightly. "That wasn't our intention. Humanity doesn't seek conquest or dominion. We simply refuse to be conquered. Yet your technology now advances at an alarming rate," the Moravian observed. "Some worry what humans might do with draconian weapons and faster-than-light capabilities. Tell them not to invade us, and they'll have nothing to worry about." Wright replied simply. As she returned to her quarters, Wright received a secure transmission from Earth. On the screen, President Garcia appeared, looking weary but resolute. The cabinet has reviewed the peace terms, he said. We'll accept their proposal with the additions you suggested. But there's something else you should know. He stepped aside, and the camera showed Dr. Blackwood standing next to a holographic display of what appeared to be star maps. Dr. Blackwood's team has fully decoded the draconian navigation system, Garcia continued. We're no longer bound to our solar system, Lorena. The prototype ship is ready for its first test flight. Wright felt a surge of pride mixed with concern. That changes everything. The Council is already nervous about how quickly we've advanced. Which is exactly why we need you back here, the President said. Earth is entering a new chapter. We need someone who understands the galactic community to help guide our next steps. What are your orders, Mr. President? Return home. We have a lot of work to do. 1 week later, Lorena Wright stood on the observation deck of the USS Freedom, Earth's first true starship. It had been constructed in orbit using adapted draconian technology, completed in record time by an international team of scientists and engineers. Captain Olivia Martinez, promoted after her successful command of the Defender during the invasion, joined her at the viewport. Hard to believe it's only been 6 weeks since they first appeared in our skies, Martinez said, looking out at the stars. Wright nodded. 6 weeks that changed the course of human history. The crew is ready for the first official jump, Martinez reported. We'll be at the Galactic Council hub in 3 days, assuming the drive works as expected. It will, Wright said confidently. Dr. Blackwood's team has improved on the original draconian design. We'll arrive right on schedule for the signing of the peace treaty. On Earth, recovery efforts continued. The invasion had caused significant damage to major cities, but the process of rebuilding had united humanity in ways that seemed impossible before. Nations that had been enemies for generations now worked together, sharing resources and technology. In his laboratory, Dr. Peter Blackwood studied a piece of draconian technology with a group of international scientists. Among them was Lily Wu, whose hacking skills had been crucial during the war. The quantum entanglement principles they use for communication could revolutionize our entire information infrastructure, Lily observed, pointing to a component on the screen. Blackwood nodded. And that's just the beginning. Their medical technology alone could eliminate most diseases within a decade. If we hadn't been forced to fight back, we might have taken centuries to develop these advances on our own, said a scientist from Kenya. Blackwood looked thoughtful. Perhaps that's the greatest irony of this whole situation. By trying to conquer us, they accelerated our development beyond anything we could have achieved in peace. Across the galaxy, news of Earth's emergence spread rapidly. Many species watched with interest as the former primitive planet prepared to join the galactic community. Some feared the rapid rise of humanity, while others saw potential allies or trading partners. On the day the peace treaty was to be signed, the USS Freedom emerged from faster-than-light travel near the Galactic Council hub. The sleek ship, displaying Earth's new unified planetary flag, caused a sensation as it docked alongside vessels from the oldest and most advanced civilizations. Ambassador Wright led the Earth delegation into the council chamber. Representatives from every major species had gathered to witness this historic moment. General Quesavex waited at the central platform with the treaty document. As Wright stepped forward to sign, she thought about how much had changed in such a short time. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and not only survived but thrived. They had earned their place among the stars not through conquest, but by refusing to be conquered. With this signature, she said as she pressed her thumb to the document, Earth formally enters the galactic community as a sovereign and independent world. The chamber echoed with the formal acknowledgement tones of hundreds of species. It was done. Earth was now officially recognized by the galaxy. As Ambassador Wright turned to address the council, she delivered the message that would define humanity's place among the stars for generations to come. We come to the galaxy not as conquerors, but we will never be anyone's subjects. We seek friendship with all peaceful species. But let it be known throughout the stars, You dare invade Earth at your peril. The draconian invasion had ended. Humanity's galactic journey had just begun.